Jacksonville, Florida.
Hello, welcome back to another NFL season prediction video. This time, I'll be going over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last season, the Jacksonville Jaguars had yet another losing season, going 3-13 or 4-12, one of the two. Either way, Jacksonville was not a contending football team, but they have found their quarterback of the future in Blake Bortles and have done a couple other things to improve on that defense, including drafting Jalen Ramsey, Miles Jack, and having Dante Fowler returning to the defense after missing his entire rookie season. Along with adding a couple, free agent defensive players, including Prince Amukamara and Sindendrick Marks. So, all that being said, let's go into the Jags' wins and losses, starting with a win against San Diego. I think the Jags defense can overpower the San Diego offensive line, and I feel like their offense will be able to move the ball against a somewhat weak San Diego secondary. Next, win against Indianapolis. I feel the same way kind of here, just weak defense, and it will allow the Jags to move the ball decently well against a weak defense. And I feel like their defense will be able to slow down Andrew Luck and the Colts' overall offense for long enough that they can move the ball well and just score more points than them. So, entering the bye week, the Jaguars will have 2 wins. Exiting, they will take a win against Chicago. Again, Chicago secondary. There's not a lot of key pieces there, and I think their defense can slow down Jay Cutler and the Bears' running game. Then, a win against Oakland. I say they win against Oakland mostly based around the fact of the offensive depth for the Jags. I say that although the Oakland front seven is going to be very good, I feel like they will move the ball well in the air because of the depth they have at wide receiver. Then, a win against Tennessee. I give them the win against Tennessee for mostly the same reasons again. Tennessee is a team on the rise, but they have a lot of issues on defense still. And I do believe that Tennessee will need another season or two to completely envelop Mariota and enough talent to give them a winning record. Then, an upset against Houston. I think Houston and Jacksonville are evenly matched, but I don't want to give Jacksonville a clean sweep. I do believe that Houston is an extremely talented team, and I do think that Jacksonville's youth will be able to pull out at least one upset win over a very talented Houston team. Then a win against Detroit. Without Calvin Johnson, I think that team's going to struggle a bit in their first season without having their big ticket guy, the guy who's been the face of the franchise since 2007, I think. I think they'll struggle in their first season missing Calvin Johnson. So, although that doesn't make a huge deal, he was the team leader for quite a few seasons. Then, a win against Buffalo. Again, I give them the win against Buffalo. I think Buffalo's defense, although is very good, their offense, I don't think will be able to keep up with a Jags team that will probably be in the top half of the league in overall defense.
The Jaguars have to get to
and their last win of the season will come against the Tennessee Titans. Again, for the same reasons I mentioned before. That would be the Jaguars' 9th win of the season. So, that means they will take 7 losses, and these include the Green Bay Packers in Week 1. I think Green Bay is a more well-rounded team, and again, they're potentially going to be starting a lot of rookies or guys starting their first game. And overall, I just think that Green Bay will experience will beat out the Jaguars. Next, a loss against Baltimore, kind of same deal. I think that Baltimore's experience overall will be able to beat them out, and I feel like the Baltimore offensive line will be able to slow down, the front seven for the Jags. And Flacco has a decent amount of weapons, with Brashad Perriman and Steve Smith both going to be playing this season. He'll have the weapons to potentially pick apart a Jags defensive backfield that includes Prince Amukamara, and that's about it at cornerback. Depending on if Jalen Ramsey plays corner, but he's projected as safety, and I agree. So again, exiting the bye week, they will be 2-2. Then their next loss comes against Kansas City Chiefs. I think Kansas City is a more well-rounded team. They have a better running game. I think their offensive line is good enough to get the ball out of the past the players in the front seven.
Jumps up and hauls it in.
Then a loss to Denver. Denver's defense will overpower Jacksonville's offense with its experience, and I think that Denver will just beat them there. Minnesota, I think Minnesota and Jacksonville are cut along the same lines as of right now. Very young teams with up-and-coming talent. I give Minnesota the edge in this game, as I feel like they are a more experienced team. And then their loss to Houston. Again, I kind of feel the same way with Houston. Young team, have a lot of talent, but I think Houston gets the edge in this one. And their last loss of the season will come against Indianapolis. Again, neither team will be playing for a playoff spot at this point. Actually, no. Jacksonville will actually be attempting to clinch one. The Colts will dash those hopes. And wow.
Bringing their offense onto the field. It wasn't a very productive possession for them last time out.
The Colts will dash those hopes, and
well, you know what it was? It was a good
Jags will not make the playoffs.
So they got some knowledge by watching the defense and what defenses they tried on them. So you got to take advantage of that knowledge.
At 9-7, the Jags will miss the playoffs, but will end up being second place in their division. But a decent amount of games back behind the Houston Texans.
It takes perfect throws to get completions. Not there that time.
And I guess it's a good time. Jump into my bold predictions. I do bold predictions for every single position group. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, sometimes includes tight ends if I think of a good one. Defensive line, linebackers, and defensive back. No punters and kickers, no offensive linemen. I don't think really anyone cares enough about those position groups to have a bold prediction about them.
The pass doesn't find a mark.
So, starting with quarterback, Blake Bortles will continue to improve, and he will continue to lower his interception count. He will only throw 5 interceptions this season to 30 touchdowns.
Pass, it brings up second down.
At running back, both Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon will eclipse 1,000 yards rushing behind a decent Jaguars offensive line.
The first of their 3 timeouts right here. This is 3rd down.
At receiver, as I said before, I couldn't really think of a good one, so I'm going to go tight end. And I'm going to say Julius Thomas in his first full season without injuries with the Jacksonville Jaguars will have a fantastic season and will be second place in All-Pro voting for tight end behind Rob Gronkowski. Defensive line, I say Dante Fowler shows all the promise that he showed when they drafted him at number 3 last season, and will finish the season with 10.5 sacks.
He gets to the receiver just as the football's arriving, and he makes
linebacker, Miles Jack will win Defensive Rookie of the Year by a landslide. He will have a phenomenal season, recording a multitude of ridiculous stats for a rookie. he will have over 100 tackles and will have 3 sacks and 3 interceptions. And last defensive back, Jalen Ramsey will have 5 interceptions. But again, because Miles Jack has a fantastic season, will not get the Defensive Rookie of the Year. So, all of that being said, I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars will have their first winning record since 2007, I believe, and will be in the playoff picture until week 17. So, next up, the New York Jets. Should be interesting, depending on how that team does whatever it does. But for now, this is J-Wax.
Well, the defense has got to love that. They love it when a quarterback is